Okay, let me tell you something. You ever have one of those moments where everything seems fine, perfect even, and then, out of nowhere, your whole world just flips upside down? Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. One minute, I'm sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, thinking about what to make for dinner. The next, I see a text pop up on his phone, a name I didn't recognize, a message that made my stomach drop. And just like that, the life I thought I knew, gone. I'm not gonna lie to you, it hurt. It hurt like hell. But here's the thing, I didn't just sit there and cry about it. Oh no. I got up, I got smart, and I took control. This isn't just a story about betrayal, it's about how I found out the truth piece by piece, and how I turned my pain into power. It's about how I went from feeling like my world was ending to realizing it was just the beginning of something better. So if you've ever been lied to, cheated on, or made to feel like you weren't enough, this is for you. Because I'm about to take you through every twist, every turn, and every moment that changed everything. By the end of this, you'll see that sometimes the hardest moments in life can lead to the greatest comebacks. Trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. Let's get into it. It all started with a text message. You know, one of those moments where you're not even looking for trouble, but trouble finds you anyway. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, waiting for my husband, Daniel, to come home from work. He'd been acting strange for weeks, coming home late, being overly protective of his phone, and suddenly taking an interest in working out at odd hours. I brushed it off at first. Stress, I thought. Work must be getting to him. But deep down, I felt that gnawing suspicion, the kind that claws at your gut and won't let go. The text popped up on his phone, which was lying face up on the coffee table. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the screen lit up and the name Lila caught my eye. The message read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Last night was amazing." My heart dropped. My hands went cold. I stared at the screen, my mind racing. Who was Lila, and what exactly happened last night? I didn't confront him right away. No, I was smarter than that. I decided to play the long game. If Daniel thought he could hide something from me, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. I started paying closer attention, tracking his movements, noticing the little things he'd let slip. He'd say he was going to the gym, but his gym bag never moved from the closet. He'd claim he was working late, but his office lights were off when I drove by. The lies were piling up, and I was collecting every single one of them. Then came the day I decided to follow him. It was a Tuesday, and he'd texted me saying he had a team dinner after work. Something about the way he worded it felt off. I called his office, pretending to confirm a dinner reservation, and his assistant told me there was no team dinner scheduled. That was all the confirmation I needed. I waited outside his office building, my heart pounding as I watched him leave, not in his usual suit, but in casual clothes I hadn't seen him wear in years. He looked different, like he was trying to impress someone. I followed him to a cozy little cafe downtown, the kind of place with dim lighting and jazz music playing softly in the background. And there she was, Lila. She was younger than me, with long blonde hair and a laugh that carried across the room. I watched as Daniel kissed her cheek, his hand lingering on her arm. The sight made me sick to my stomach, but I didn't look away. I needed to see it, to feel it, to know the truth. Over the next few weeks, I gathered evidence. I took photos, saved receipts, and even managed to get into his email, thanks to a password he'd foolishly left written down in his desk drawer. I discovered they'd been seeing each other for months. They'd gone on trips together, shared intimate moments, and even talked about a future. The more I uncovered, the angrier I became. But I didn't let it consume me. Instead, I channeled that anger into something productive. I hired a lawyer, a ruthless one who specialized in high-stakes divorces. I opened a separate bank account and started moving money, little by little, so Daniel wouldn't notice. I documented everything, building a case so airtight he wouldn't stand a chance in court. And then, when the time was right, I confronted him. It was a Sunday morning. He was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping coffee and scrolling through his phone like nothing was wrong. I placed a folder in front of him, filled with all the evidence I'd collected. His face went pale as he flipped through it, his hands shaking. "What is this?" he stammered. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply said, "You've been lying to me, Daniel, and now it's time for you to face the consequences." The look on his face was priceless, a mix of shock, fear, and guilt. He tried to apologize, to explain, but I wasn't interested. I'd already made up my mind. I filed for divorce the next day, and thanks to the evidence I'd gathered, I walked away with everything. The house, the savings, even the dog. Daniel was left with nothing but the mess he'd created. But here's the twist. Lila? She wasn't who I thought she was. As it turned out, she wasn't some young, naive girl caught up in a whirlwind romance. She was a con artist, targeting married men for their money. When she realized Daniel was broke, she dropped him faster than a hot potato. Karma, I guess. In the end, I didn't just survive Daniel's betrayal, I thrived. I took control of my life, rebuilt my confidence, and came out stronger than ever. And as for Daniel, well, let's just say he learned the hard way that you should never underestimate a woman who's been wronged. But the story doesn't end there. A few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Lila. She wanted to meet. Curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed. We met at a quiet coffee shop, and she looked nothing like the confident woman I'd seen with Daniel. She was nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup, and finally, she confessed. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know he was married at first. By the time I found out, I was in too deep. But I want you to know something. He lied to me too. He told me you two were separated, that the marriage was over. I didn't realize he was playing us both. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to hate her, but another part of me pitied her. She was just another victim of Daniel's lies. We talked for hours, and by the end of it, I realized something. I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for every woman who'd ever been deceived, manipulated, or betrayed. I started a blog, sharing my story and offering advice to others going through similar situations. It became a safe space for women to share their experiences, support each other, and reclaim their power. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of women reached out, thanking me for giving them the courage to stand up for themselves. As for Daniel, last I heard, he was living in a small apartment, struggling to make ends meet. He tried to reach out to me a few times, begging for forgiveness, but I never responded. He'd made his choices, and now he had to live with them. And me? I'm happier than I've ever been. I've found a new sense of purpose, a new passion for life. I've even started dating again, though I'm taking it slow. This time, I'm not just looking for love, I'm looking for respect, honesty, and trust. And if I've learned anything from this whole experience, it's this: never settle for less than you deserve. So, what's the moral of the story? Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. And when life knocks you down, don't stay down. Get up, fight back, and take control. Because sometimes the best revenge is living well and helping others do the same.